thanks for joining me today where we're going to be exploring storytelling with a little bit of a big splash theme going on. My name is Amy Hall Gibson and I am a drama artist and I just love storytelling, and I try to come up with wonderful ways in which children are able to be free and lead sessions, but equally I think it's so important that adults feel inspired and get that joy out of sharing stories with their little ones. So today I am going to cover a couple of different things you can try. We're going to build a story den, and it's going to happen in my garden with just things I have lying around, so that you can see that you can do it with whatever you have. Then we'll look at how we create the atmosphere inside the story den, and we'll look at using our voice to bring the story to life. And really, I hope, give you a little bit more confidence when reading aloud with your child. We'll also look at using water as sounds, so looking at taking a traditional story that we know, actually adding in water sounds to really help bring characters and actions to life, and essentially thinking, this isn't story time, this is playtime, and we're out with the water tray or wherever you are, really in the kitchen with the sink, and thinking, I wonder if I could use this playtime and just interject a little bit of story there. And I really hope that when you see that you can see that it's a really achievable idea for everybody. And then the other thing I'm going to show you is how to create our own adaptations of stories. As adults, we can get a little bit bored of reading the same thing over and over, and sometimes it just really we're not enjoying the stories the same way our children do. So I'm going to give you an idea, hopefully that will and just reinvigorate you and sort of find that joy again with stories.
Building a story den. Just use what you have around your home or in your garden. I've got a whirligig and a clothes horse, and I'm just tying pieces of fabric that I have to create a little bit of a cave, a magical den, a space that is going to feel like it's ours and we can get cosy and snuggly inside. Welcome to my story den that I've just created. So now that you've created this wonderful little magical cave, a little story den for you and your child, you really want to enhance that atmosphere a little bit more. And you can do this with your voice. So take a story that you know, that you feel comfortable with. You don't need a book if you've not got it. It's absolutely you in control from your memory. And I'm going to go with The Little Mermaid, and I'm only going to do an extract of it just to give you an example. But what we're really going to focus on here is the voice, and we're going to think really simple terms of loud, quiet, fast and slow, because thinking of those 4 mechanisms really enhance your voice, make it interesting for you telling the story, but equally it's really engaging for your child. Okay, so I'll give you a little example of what I'm saying and see if you can spot where I'm doing these 4 things: loud, quiet, fast, slow. Once upon a time, there was a little mermaid who lived under the sea. But she wanted to live on the land where the people were. She knew there was an evil sea witch who granted wishes. So she went along and she asked the evil sea witch to grant her wish so that she could be on the land. But there was a catch. The evil sea witch wanted her beautiful singing voice. So I hope that you were able to kind of pick out where the loud, the soft and the fast and the quick were. I really didn't try and think too much about it. I just was kind of focusing on different parts, and that's really what you should do as well. Try not to kind of fluster yourself or worry too much about it. Just go with it, and you'll just have fun.
Now I'm going to share with you using water sounds to bring the story to life. So Bookbug this year is all about making a big splash, and I am absolutely delighted and just like humbled that Bookbug have invited me to share some of my ideas with you. I'm going to take the story of the 3 billy goats gruff, and I am going to show you how you can use your water play to really bring this story to a whole new experience for you and your children. I start first of all with, I'm going to have a bucket of water, and I've shown you some ideas of how you can create different sounds using water. Some of these are outdoors, some of them are indoors, and you'll see throughout when I'm reading the story the various different ways that you can do it. It works wherever you are. All you need is a basin or a bowl really that you can fill with water. So with it, what I use is I'm thinking of the key moments in the story. So there are the three billy goats graph and there is the troll. Now for me, I quite like to set the structure up that, right, the troll, what kind of sound is the troll going to have? So I've picked this sound for the troll. So every time when I'm reading the story and I mention or we're coming up towards the troll, that's the sound that I would encourage my child to make, or the sound I make if I'm making that sound as well. And then I'm going to have a different sound for each of the three billy goats graph, because there's the small, the medium and the big. And again, I'll be able to show you what these ones are. This one is the sound I've picked for the small billy goat. And this is the one I have picked for the medium billy goat. And finally, this is the sound that I've chosen for the big billy goat. Okay, so you've seen all the different sounds. I'm now going to read the story with these sounds in it, just to really help you visualise and also to hear exactly how it just enhances the story. Once upon a time, there were three billy goats grew up and they lived in a valley. But they heard that the grass was better in the other valley, but nobody ever crossed the bridge, because under the bridge lived a troll. Now one day the three billy goats gruff decided, we're going to go for it, we're going to cross the bridge, but you have to go first, the smallest one. So the smallest billy goat gruff trip, trap, trip, trap, trip over the bridge. The troll heard the billy goats and popped up and said, why are you crossing my bridge? I'm going to eat you. The little billy goat said, no, you can't eat me. My brother's about to cross and he is much bigger than me. Okay then, the troll decided he'd wait for the other brother. So the little one got across the bridge. The medium-sized billy goat brother decided to follow on. He saw his brother cross, no problem. So he trip, trap, across the bridge. The troll jumped out. Rah, I'm gonna eat you, billy goat. Nobody crosses my bridge. You can't eat me. My big brother's about to cross over and he's much more delicious and bigger and juicier than me. Okay, I'll wait. So the medium billy goat crossed the bridge. The big brother saw his two brothers had crossed the bridge, no problem. So he gave it a go. Trip, trap across the bridge. Rawr! Jumped out the troll. I'm going to gobble you up. Well, the big brother billy goat, I thought, I'm having none of that. And he did what all goats do. He charged! Poof! And he knocked that troll off the bridge. So I hope that through that little example, you were able to see how you could use water to help with story time. You can use it in any way you like. This is just an example. It can be adapted to lots of different stories. Now we're going to look at creating our own adaptations of stories. Children need repetition. It is key and fundamental to them, and they love hearing the same story over and over. But sometimes as adults we lose that joy, and we maybe get a bit bored of reading the same story over and over. So what I'm about to suggest here are ways around which you can still explore the same story with your little one who absolutely loves it, but equally as you, for the adult, you're also going to get that enjoyment and that joy back into it. So for the example, I'm going to use The Ugly Duckling, and everything I do can be adapted to any book really. So with The Ugly Duckling, you can choose to read the story first, or you can just dive straight into the movement. The first thing we see is the nest with all the eggs in it, and we can see that there's one egg that's totally different to the others, and it maybe not necessarily supposed to be in that nest. So my question to my child is, how did the egg get into the nest? Now I'm not looking for a verbal response, I'm actually looking for a movement. So I'd maybe do something like this. I wonder how that egg got into the nest. Do you think you could show me how it got in there? And I can role model, I can show and give examples and demos, just so it's really, really clear what I'm thinking. So it might have tiptoed in. Tiptoe, 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 tiptoe. It might have jumped in. Boing! It might have spun in. Whoosh! Whatever you do, your child is going to love it, and they can take the lead too. They'll show you loads of different movements, and no answer is wrong, really. I think that's what it's about. It's about letting them have this kind of lead on the story, and there's no answer that's wrong there, because this is your own adaptation. So once you've kind of explored that element, then you can move on to, so how do the eggs hatch? Do they hatch slowly, quickly? Are they quite big at hatching, or are they very small movements? Again, you can do some examples. Here's a small, slow action. And you can take your time on that. You can go slow as you like. The other example could be big and quick. There we go, out the egg. Again, play with it, try doing different things and really explore. So how does the ugly duckling egg hatch differently from the other eggs? Do they all hatch the same, or are they all different? And just really have fun with that. The other thing, once the eggs have hatched, is how do they move? Do they waddle? Do they skip? Do they jump? Do they hop? What do they do? Anything works. It's all about movement. Maybe they're crawling it to begin with. There is no wrong answer to this. It's all about having fun and exploring the story. Once you've done that, you can then move the story on to how do they swim in the water. So, we know that duck's feet paddle, but the creativity that comes from our children and with us is just to free us up and let us pretty much do our own thing. Because remember, this is our own adaptation of the story. So we're adding in little bits as we go that aren't in the story, so we can really be like, oh, what happened here? How did it get here? What happened there? Where were the swans going when they were flying over? Or where were they coming from? And you're just creating your own kind of side stories. And the other thing you can do as well is with the nest idea is you can create your own nests.
Here is my outdoor nest that I made using sticks, stones and grass. Here is my indoor nest that I made using socks, gloves and hats.
So there you are, you saw my two different nests, my indoor and my outdoor one. So I absolutely encourage you to try and do something like that. The thing is, if you're on one part of the story and that takes ages, but you're enjoying it and your child's loving it, come back to it. You don't need to finish the story. I think it's in us that we need to finish the story from beginning to end in one sitting, but we don't. We can revisit it each time. So don't feel the pressure to keep it moving. If it's at a wonderful pace and your child is wanting you to repeat this over and over because they're loving it, and just remind yourself that the reason they want you to repeat is because they're getting so much out of it, and that's thanks to you. Thank you for taking the time to have a look at all these storytelling ideas that I've shared with you. I really hope you've enjoyed them and that you're excited to go and try a few of them. Thank you to Bookbug and the Big Splash for letting me share these with you. Take care, bye!